From a drive-by shooting to a major car crash, it was a violent and deadly weekend in the Coastal Bend. Our Brian Burns runs down the list of tragic events.
It was a deadly weekend in the Coastal Bend. At least 10 people lost their lives due to shootings and one major car crash. That crash happened Saturday morning about 3:30 on I-37 in San Patricio County. According to DPS, the driver of a Toyota Camry with 3 passengers was traveling south in the northbound lane. The driver of a Dodge Caravan and 4 passengers were traveling northbound when the Toyota struck the Dodge van head-on. DPS troopers say 5 people were pronounced dead at the scene, with one of the passengers being ejected from the vehicle. Another died at the hospital. All of the victims are between the ages of 18 and 24. Happening early Saturday, Corpus Christi's first homicide of the year. Police were called out to Ahern Street near North Port about 3:30 in the morning. When officers arrived at the scene, they found the victim had died from his injuries. Aransas Pass officials are investigating a double homicide that happened Saturday night. Officers were called out to an address on Sherwood Forest Drive just after 9 p.m. for reported gunshots. When police arrived, they discovered 1 man and 1 woman dead from gunshot wounds. The man, 32-year-old Joseph DeGrange, and the female, 37-year-old Rebecca DeGrange, were siblings. Police are looking for a suspect. Around 2 Sunday afternoon, Corpus Christi police were called to the 10,900 block of Stacy Lane near Violet and Starlight in Annaville. Police say they found a man dead at the scene. An investigation revealed 2 men were fighting when one fired a weapon. 1 person has been detained. Also Sunday, police were called out to a home along the 3900 block of Elvis near Rodfield and Airline. Around 5 p.m., investigators say a domestic dispute between a husband and wife got out of hand after at least 1 shot was fired. The man was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound to the chest, and he's in guarded condition. Corpus Christi police ask if you have information on any of these crimes. Call Corpus Christi Police or Crime Stoppers, which could earn you a cash reward. Brian Burns, 3 News.